him to the ground. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to see a rematch between them, but I'm sure they both deserve the rematch.
In a striking endorsement that has caught the attention of the combat sports world, Coach Glover Teixeira has drawn a bold comparison between Alex Pereira and two of boxing's all-time greats, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Building on this discussion of Pereira's performance, Romanian mixed martial artist Diana Belbita weighed in on Alex Pereira's latest performance, pointing to the glaring impact of the takedown threat on the former kickboxer's output. According to her, fans didn't witness the full-throttle version of Pereira, who was too preoccupied with stuffing takedowns to let loose with his signature power shots. The hesitation, she implied, dulled the edge of his striking.
We couldn't see 100% Alex Pereira because he was always worried about the takedowns, so he couldn't let his hands go, he couldn't sit on the punches the same.
However, Belbita didn't just critique Pereira, she gave credit where it was due. What caught Belbita off guard wasn't just Pereira's restraint, but Magomed Ankalaev's strategy. Rather than testing Pereira's grappling early, Ankalaev opted to stand and strike through the first 3 rounds, a move that defied expectations given Pereira's kickboxing pedigree. The real shocker to Belbita was Pereira's takedown defense. Many expected him to fold once the fight hit the mat, but instead he showed impressive composure and control, shutting down attempts and holding his ground.
And at the same time, I'm gonna be honest, Ankalaev surprised me because he stayed the first 3 rounds. He just was striking with Pereira. I actually expected him to just try to take him down in the first round. I was also surprised that actually Pereira had a really good wrestling defense. Like, if you have somebody like Ankalaev that cannot take you down, that is big.
Belbita also added another layer to the discussion, speculating on how a potential rematch between Pereira and Ankalaev could play out. In her view, if Pereira gains confidence in his takedown defense, as he likely will after holding his own, he might fight with less caution and more aggression, unburdened by the fear of being dragged to the mat. But that shift in mindset, Belbita warned, could be a double-edged sword. A more confident Pereira might take more risks, and according to Diana, that's where the danger lies. Those openings could play right into Ankalaev's hands, giving him the perfect window to switch gears and take the fight to the ground. Belbita suggested that this subtle change in dynamics might be what tips the rematch in Ankalaev's favor.
If they will rematch, I feel like will be a little bit different because Pereira will not be like will believe in himself a little bit more on his wrestling. So then he's not gonna be so scared for going to the ground. But then that's gonna make him make mistakes and make Ankalaev different.
Ultimately, following this potential dynamic shift, Belbita also expressed some reservations about the likelihood of a rematch. Belbita admitted she's not entirely sold on the idea of seeing a rematch between Pereira and Ankalaev. Despite recognizing that both fighters have earned the right to run it back, the intrigue just isn't there for her, at least not yet. Still, with the way their first clash unfolded, it's hard to argue that a second chapter isn't warranted.
To the ground. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to see a rematch between them, but I'm sure they both deserve the rematch.
Nevertheless, despite Belbita's doubts about the rematch, the first fight's significance hasn't gone unnoticed, with fighters like Charles Oliveira weighing in on Pereira's performance. Oliveira gave a nod of approval to Alex Pereira's performance, praising the light heavyweight champ for shutting down every takedown attempt thrown his way. According to Oliveira, the only real moment Ankalaev had was when he clipped Pereira while the Brazilian was moving backward, and even then, it led to little more than a clinch against the fence.
Já no segundo round.
All the Brazilians felt, he thinks Alex Pereira did very good. He defends all his takedowns, took him down once. The only part, when he connected a good punch on Alex was when he was walking backwards, and other than that, she just hold him against the cage,
Building on this praise, Oliveira's confidence in Pereira's ability to adapt and improve in a potential rematch is even more apparent. From Oliveira's perspective, Pereira handled the pressure well and fought a brilliant, composed fight. As for a potential rematch, Oliveira is all in and bold with his prediction. Oliveira sees Pereira making the necessary adjustments and putting Ankalaev away in the second round.
So he thinks Alex fought pretty good, and he believes on the rematch that's gonna happen soon. Alex will knock him out on the second round.
Wow.
Whether that's confidence or just faith in a fellow Brazilian, one thing's clear, he's betting on a violent finish next time around. Building on Oliveira's belief in Pereira's evolving skill set, Coach Glover Teixeira also highlighted Pereira's striking and boxing abilities, drawing comparisons to legendary figures in the sport. Known for his devastating power and precision in both kickboxing and MMA, Pereira quickly became one of the UFC's most feared strikers. Now, Teixeira likening his timing, footwork, and fight IQ to that of Mayweather's defensive genius, and speaking on Pereira's growing boxing prowess. Teixeira remarked, "Alex just has the eyes. The movement he makes, he's like Mayweather and Pacquiao. Alex does those things." However, not everyone was convinced by Pereira's performance, as the 14th ranked fighter Joshua Van offered a different perspective on the fight. He weighed in on the first bout, noting that Alex Pereira didn't quite look like the fighter fans have come to expect. Van questioned whether the issue was related to the weight cut, suggesting that Pereira seemed different from his usual self. While he didn't pinpoint the exact cause, the change in Pereira's demeanor and performance was noticeable. Van's takeaway was clear. He stated that something just didn't click for the champ in that fight, leaving people to wonder whether it was the weight cut, the pressure, or a combination of factors that threw him off his game.
Like, what is going on? Like, Alex doesn't look like himself, man. Something, maybe he got hurt, maybe, I don't know, it's the weight cut, I don't know what it is, but he don't look like himself in there. It's not close. He lost. But, yeah, he lost, like, clear, you know what I mean? But, yeah, he don't look like himself, man.
Adding his voice to the conversation, interim heavyweight champ Tom Aspinall didn't hold back in his praise for Alex Pereira, calling him one of the most dangerous fighters on the UFC roster. For Aspinall, it's not just Pereira's skill, it's that terrifying knockout power that sets him apart. He summed it up bluntly, saying that Pereira has that rare ability where even a slight touch can end your night. It's the kind of respect that doesn't come lightly from someone in the heavyweight division, and it reinforces the growing sentiment that Pereira isn't just a threat at light heavyweight, but a generational finisher.
Same with Alex, one of the most dangerous guys in my opinion to ever fight in the UFC. He has that, I don't even know what you call it, he just has the thing where he touches you and you just die. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's unbelievable. I've never seen anybody.
However, Tom did pump the brakes a bit when it came to the idea of Pereira making waves at heavyweight. While he respects the Brazilian's terrifying power and precision, Aspinall expressed some doubt about whether that danger truly translates when you're dealing with giants. He pointed out that Pereira had been knocked out before at middleweight, which raises questions about how he'd hold up against the sheer size and force of UFC heavyweights. That said, Aspinall also acknowledged the weight cut may have played a role in those past defeats, hinting that a fresher, more durable version of Pereira could show up if he ever tests the waters up a division. Still, in Aspinall's eyes, the jury's out until Pereira steps in with the big boys.
Does that translate to heavyweight? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
How does his punch resistance look at heavyweight? Because he has been knocked out at middleweight before. But again, you could put that down to cutting weight. Like when you're taking loads of like fluid out your body and away from your brain and stuff, and you're cutting a lot of weight the day before, and you get punched clean. Like that's what he was doing before, so maybe his chin's a little bit better. I don't know.
He's also not been getting hit.
While Aspinall remains cautious about Pereira's potential at heavyweight, Logan Paul offered a different perspective. Paul chimed in with his take on the Alex Pereira hype train, zeroing in on one of the champ's most underrated weapons, his ability to eat shots and keep marching forward. According to Paul, Pereira doesn't just take damage, he absorbs it like a machine and continues pressing the action as if nothing happened. Paul also couldn't help but entertain the idea of history being made. If Pereira somehow manages to climb to heavyweight and capture gold, it would make him the UFC's first ever 3-division champion, a feat so wild, even in the chaos of MMA, that it sounds almost unreal. For Paul, that kind of legacy would be nothing short of insane and just maybe within reach.
He gets hit, but even if he does, it doesn't faze him at all. Yeah, like at all. He just runs through.
It just depends on what fight.
Man, the first ever 3-division champion would be insane.
It would be. Well, not if he takes my belt. So we'll...
Yeah, no, yeah.
If he does it against someone else, that's pretty cool, but if it's against me.
Shifting gears from Paul's admiration, Corey Sandhagen added a more introspective angle to the Pereira Ankalaev narrative, drawing from his own experience inside the cage. He pointed out that throughout the fight, Pereira likely had a quiet but persistent voice in the back of his head, not screaming, but just enough to distract. That voice, Sandhagen said, was all about the takedown threat, subtly limiting Pereira's freedom to fully commit to his strikes. It's a mental battle Sandhagen knows all too well, well. He's been in there, fighting not just his opponent, but his internal dialogue, one that warns you, second guesses you, and keeps you from letting loose. And in his eyes, that minor hesitation, even if not obvious, changes everything in a fight.
Pereira needs to, I think in the back of Pereira's head, he just had that, he was just worried about the takedown, and it's not like a big giant voice, but if you have like a little distraction in your voice, like, you can't do that, he'll shoot, can't do that, he'll shoot. I've been in those shoes, so I know what it's like to have that tiny little voice in there, and that's just something that you kind of got to learn and get over, I guess.
Building on the mental aspect, Guram Kutateladze was quick to acknowledge Alex Pereira's status as one of the greatest champions the UFC has ever seen, recognizing his immense talent and ability to dominate. However, he didn't hesitate to praise Magomed Ankalaev for executing a flawless strategy against the Brazilian. Kutateladze highlighted Ankalaev's game plan, not just in terms of tactics, but also his psychological approach, staying calm and composed while dealing with the mental pressure of facing a fighter like Pereira. In Kutateladze's eyes, Ankalaev's performance was nothing short of exceptional, showcasing both his technical skills and mental fortitude.
Yes, Alex Pereira, is nowadays one of the greatest champions that the UFC ever had. So Ankalaev did an amazing job, great game plan, mental, psychological plan, and yes, just congratulations, congratulations to Ankalaev and Dagestan and to Caucasia once again, to this little area.
Echoing Kutateladze's praise, Tom Aspinall didn't hold back when reflecting on the fight, calling it a great battle and making it clear that anyone who disagrees simply doesn't understand MMA. For him, it was nothing short of amazing. Aspinall pointed to one key factor in Ankalaev's victory, his unrelenting desire to win. He applied consistent pressure, looking fresher throughout the rounds, and seamlessly blended takedowns with striking in a way that kept Pereira guessing.
First of all, great fight. Anyone who says it wasn't doesn't know MMA, so I thought that was an amazing fight. The key to winning for Ankalaev, in my opinion, he wanted it more. Pressure, he looked the fresher man. Mixed in between the takedowns and the striking beautifully.
Building on his analysis of the fight, Aspinall also emphasized the importance of an immediate rematch between Pereira and Ankalaev, highlighting the massive star power that Alex Pereira brings to the sport. For Aspinall, Pereira isn't just a champion, he's a key figure in MMA, and his draw in the sport is undeniable. An immediate rematch, in his view, would not only make sense in terms of competition, but would also be a huge spectacle for the fans.
Alex Pereira's run is done as a champion for now. In my opinion, immediate rematch should be there next. Like, Alex Pereira is a massive, massive, massive star in the sport of MMA. Massive. Lost it last night, lost his title, but the run that he has been on is warranted, has warranted an immediate rematch, in my opinion.
Continuing his thoughts on the rematch, Aspinall further expressed his belief that Magomed Ankalaev might have Pereira's number, suggesting that the same outcome could very well happen again in a potential rematch. Despite this, he made it clear that he's eager to see the fight again, calling it a grueling, high-stakes battle. Aspinall emphasized how exhausting a fight like that can be for both fighters, and he hopes that viewers truly understand the level of physical and mental endurance required in such a war. For him, that kind of intensity is what makes the sport so compelling, and why a rematch would be worth watching.
Magomed Ankalaev, to me, looks like he's got his number. It looks like the same thing could happen again, in my opinion. I want to see it again. I absolutely want to see that fight again. That was a great fight. Grueling fight. Hopefully people on the outside who are not involved in the sport physically like I am can see how grueling fights like that really are. That is absolutely exhausting fight for both guys. And we've got a new champion, man. Magomed Ankalaev, light heavyweight champion.
While Aspinall focused on the rematch, former cage sport featherweight and lightweight champion Julian Erosa turned attention to Ankalaev's underrated striking. Julian weighed in on Magomed Ankalaev's striking, highlighting that many tend to underestimate it. Erosa acknowledged Ankalaev's well-rounded skill set, pointing out that the Dagestani fighter is dangerous everywhere in the cage. He believes Ankalaev is a formidable force and a serious threat in the division.
Ankalaev is a savage. People I think underrate his striking ability. I mean, this guy's good everywhere, and so I think he's a force to be reckoned with at the at that weight class.
Building on his earlier comments, Julian Erosa acknowledged the controversy over the winner of the first fight between Alex and Magomed, stressing that this is why you can't leave it to the judges. He pointed out that Pereira is typically the type to go for the kill, but the fight showed he didn't fully commit. Erosa is excited about a potential rematch, hoping Pereira will bring more energy and aggression. He believes a more dynamic performance from Pereira could make all the difference in the next bout.
I think it's going to be hard for someone to beat him. Although I know there was a little bit of controversy of who won that fight, but that's why you can't leave it to the judges. You gotta go out there and try to kill. And usually Pochon is that guy who goes out there and kills. And so if they have a rematch, I'm looking forward to seeing if he has a little bit more pep in his step.
Following Erosa's comments, Israel Adesanya shared his thoughts on the first fight, initially stating that he had Alex Pereira edging out the victory. However, he also admitted that he might need to re-watch the bout and rescore it to come to a more definitive conclusion. Despite the uncertainty over the winner, Adesanya recognized that it was a highly competitive back-and-forth battle. In his view, the fight was beneficial for both fighters, pushing them to their limits and giving fans a glimpse of what they're truly capable of. For Adesanya, it wasn't just about the outcome. It was about the overall experience and growth for both men in the cage.
I think everyone had thought, well, I don't know, I had Alex winning. Yeah, I had Alex winning, but I'm not sure. I have to watch it again or score the fight properly. I think the round 2 might have played a factor just because he dropped him. But again, holding him against the fence, don't really remember him getting any takedowns. But yeah, I mean, fuck, it was a competitive fight, back and forth. And it's good for both of them. They're both gonna level up. But yeah, I think he'll get a rematch. I'm pretty sure he'll get a rematch. Spin the block.
As the anticipation for a potential rematch between Pereira and Ankalaev continues to grow, it's clear that both fighters have left an indelible mark on the light heavyweight division. With legendary figures weighing in and differing perspectives on what's next, the narrative surrounding these two only gets more intriguing. Whatever the future holds, the world of MMA is watching closely. If you enjoyed the video, show your support by liking and sharing it with your fellow MMA fans. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this potential rematch in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with all things MMA.